Again, I appreciate your support and prayer for my trip to Korea, and my family and I had a wonderful trip for 1 month with the family and friends. But please understand that my accent today, I just came back to here yesterday and never used English in Korea for 1 month. My tongue is paralyzed for using English. We enjoyed staying in Korea, but at the same time, we missed you all a lot. Today, we talk about the suffering things. Our lives are so blessed, but sometimes we pass the darkest valley in our lives. So today, let us talk about how we encounter difficult circumstances. You may have a question, why some Christians encounter difficult circumstances? Even though we believe that God protects and cares His children in the world. You may memorize the Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul, and He leads me in right paths for His name's sake." Even if He is our shepherd, why do we need to pass the suffering time? You may be suffered by people, health problems, or economic or circumstances. In the Bible, Moses and people of Israel had a hardship for 40 years in the wilderness. Not 40 days, not 40 months. Daniel was suffered in foreign country. As you know, Jesus' disciples all were suffered because they were Christian. Now this time I showed the video this morning. The North Korean Christian are suffered because they are Christian, and the other countries people, many Christians are suffered because they are Christian. Some of you have the same question: why are Christians suffered? Why did not God protect my spouse for disease? I used to serve as a chaplain in one of a hospice at the south area of Chicago. And there was a last suffering story in there. One day of April 2014, I visited a 93-year-old woman's room in nursing home. This was my second visiting. When I visited the first time, she didn't want me to meet. At the time, I worried her a lot because I knew she had been depressed for a month. I visited her every 2 weeks, and so we already made a good relationship with each other. And she was a very active and talkative person. We met in her room that was very private, and there was a big window and comfortable sofa and supper table, and she sat on her chair near the table. I knocked the door. "Hello, this is Chaplain Choi." I worried about her response because I couldn't meet her yesterday, and she said that I'm not available today. And she said, "Come on in." I was very glad to hear about this response. "Hey, how are you? I really miss you." I hugged and smiled to her. "I missed you too. I was depressed yesterday. I cried a lot. I'm sorry about yesterday." I said, "It's okay. I just worried about you yesterday. But I'm really happy to meet you today. How about you today?" "My feeling is better than yesterday, but I'm still depressed now," she said. People are possible to get depressed during life at any time. It is not a strange feeling, Glenn. Her nickname is Glenna. "And could you talk to me? Why are you depressed now?" You know, I have one son and daughter. And my daughter is a single and very active person. She traveled to many areas such as Europe, Asia, and South America because she likes travel. But a few days ago, I heard that my daughter is very sick. Yes, she got a cancer. She may not possible to travel anymore. I don't know how long she can live in here. I said, I'm sorry. She was continuing to talking. Also, my husband was passed away. He was a sweet guy for me. I was not expected he died before me. I just thought that we live together eternally. But you see, point out one old picture. She point out. He is my husband. He was 21 and I was 18 in this picture. Wow. It is a so nice picture. He is so handsome and you are so beautiful. I said, you and your husband are like movie stars. Yeah, it's like very 21 and 18 is the most beautiful age decision. Yeah, so thank you, Chaplain Choi. She said, time is so fast. Is it right? Time is so fast. I can recall vividly all. You know, we didn't have a car and not rich. He was a Navy. But we walk, park together and travel to various areas. We loved a lot each other. I said, it is so blessing. I think blessing is not money, but good people. She said, yes, exactly. It was a really blessing. But I'm alone now. I missed my husband a lot. I also had a best friend. However, she was died a few years ago. It makes me to be depressed. I said, I cannot imagine how difficult to say goodbye to loving people. She said, yes, it was really difficult to handle my feeling when my friend passed away. It was not easy. If I am not a Christian, it may make me more difficult, but I believe that we will live eternally in heaven. Is that right? I said, yes, we will live eternally in heaven together. So I hugged her, and she was crying. You are my good friends too. You know, I'm really happy when I meet and talk with you. I'm really happy to meet you. You make people are comfortable, I said. She said, you are so sweet, thank you. Chaplain, can you pray for me? So, sure, I prayed. And I said goodbye. In this conversation, we can notice that she was suffered by losing loving one, husband, and best friend, and losing health. I believe that she was a good Christian. At the time I had a question, why do Christians suffer from various things in their faith journey? So I have heard that some Christians who do not have a right understanding of suffering have left the church after suffering or pain. They couldn't understand why Christians need to endure suffering or why God does not protect them from their suffering. Suffering is an inescapable fact in our lives. All people are suffered from various things in their lives, even if they are Christian or not. And there is no black or white answer about suffering. Where does suffering come from? I said one time in sermon, almost 2 or 3 years ago, there is 4 reasons: natural disaster, your mistake, evil, and God's punishment. First is from the natural disaster. As you know, Hurricane Florence attacked various areas months ago. It was a powerful and long-lived hurricane in 2018 in the US that caused severe damage in the Carolina in September 2018. 53 people died by this hurricane and damaged $16.7 billion. One interviewer asked me a few years ago, Kiwan, what is your understanding about natural disaster? Is it evil? I couldn't answer it. He said, natural disaster is natural disaster. Yes, there is no answer to theologians. But we Christians believe that God is with people, those who cry in natural disaster. This is the first reason. Second reason is sometimes the suffering comes upon us from our own mistake. You may get accident if you focus your cell phone during driving. Right? That's your mistake. God cannot protect, God cannot care for you if smartphone during driving. Yeah, that's your mistake. That's our mistake. And third is evil. One of the social evil things I think, is health insurance this year. Yeah. Do you know how much is a full-time pastor's health insurance? You will notice that in the church conference. Yeah. So expensive. Yeah. Almost 17,000 in a year. So expensive. It's crazy. Yeah. It's social evil, I think. I met a lot of doctors in Korea, visiting Korea, without fear of bills. Fear of bills. I think it's too overcharged the insurance payment in US. I only paid $8 or $4, sometimes $5 to meeting doctors without private insurance. Most medical bill covered by tax. What a nice. I heard that many people give up managing their lives because of medical bills in here. That's evil. Social evil. Lastly is God's punishment. In the Bible, you saw many times God's warning and the judgment on God's people. In the Bible, you could find God's warning a lot. And God finally judged God's people when they didn't listen. Sodom and Gomorrah city totally destroyed when God didn't find at least 10 righteous people in there. God punished the world at Noah's period because God didn't find any good at the time except Noah. In Judges, you can find the last God's warning and judgment. This is the 4 regions of sufferings, I think. So how do we react when we experience suffering? You need to check where your suffering comes from. From natural disaster, or your mistake, evil things, or God's punishment. If there is just a natural disaster, I believe God also cries with the people who suffer from natural disaster. And God will send God's people to them for healing and give peace to God's people. If your suffering came from your mistakes, you just need to mend your way. I got a bad health report from the doctor. Therefore, that is my mistake. I need to exercise and eat healthy food only. That's all. And if your suffering comes from evil one, you fight the evil things or pray to God for God's help. We believe that God also hates evil things and will give power to us for overcoming evil things. If your suffering comes from God, that's the biggest problem. You have to turn back to God. God might warn you already, if you live from God and live in evil. If you just focus on prosperity, your family, earthly thing, not God, God will warn and judge you because God loves you. Because God loves you. Because God loves you. Sophia had 2 uncles, my younger brother and Dolly's younger brother. 2 uncles gave everything when we visit to Korea. Yeah, what she likes. Yeah, smartphone or even hot dogs. Yeah, they try to give her hot dogs. Oh my goodness! But we parents do not give everything to Sophia because we have a responsibility to lead her in the right way. That is why parents not only show nice face to their kids, but also have a lecture time for their kids. God is not your uncle. God is not your uncle. God never give a hot dog. God is your parent. If you go the wrong way, God has to lead you to the right way by all methods. Some of you may encounter difficult circumstances. Is suffering only bad thing to you? No. You can find the blessing in suffering within Jesus Christ our Lord. The cross means that suffering, dying, but at the same time, loving and resurrection. Romans chapter 8:16 says, It is that very Spirit bearing witness with our spirit that we are children of God, and if children, then heirs of God and joint heirs with Christ, if in fact we suffer with Him, so that we may also be glorified with Him. Amen. You may be suffered from various things. You usually think suffering is a bad one, but many people already found that suffering is a blessing. Only through the experience of a trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. All the world is full of suffering. It is also full of overcoming, Helen Keller said. By suffering, you can check your soul's level. It is very difficult to check your soul's level in happy moment. But if you experience suffering, when you encounter difficult circumstances, your reaction provides evidence of your soul's condition. Someone is completely broken by the suffering, difficult circumstances. But in the same circumstances, strong, faithful Christians keep their way no matter what they are in. By suffering, you can return to God if you live from God. Wise Christians check their soul when they meet suffering. If you are in suffering, you can check yourself, and you can listen God's word when you are in suffering. If you live from God, suffering time is the right time to back to Christ. By suffering, you can find your weakness and God's might. When we are sick, when we have a big disease, or when we have a cancer, we notice that we are weak human being. In suffering, you can follow Jesus Christ. He calls you to another way. Paul had epilepsy or some similar disease. He said, 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. This disease bothered me. I believe that Paul cried out many times about this problem. Paul might struggle a lot about his suffering, but he finally found that it's blessing to him. He said in today's scripture, in Paul's scripture, I will boast all the more gladly over my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may dwell in me. Therefore, I am content with the weaknesses, insult, hardship, persecution, and calamities, for the sake of Christ. For whenever I am weak, then I am strong. Christians can find God's grace in their sufferings. All people encounter suffering in the world. But we believe that the Christian's reaction has to be different than others. A Christian can find hope in their suffering. A Christian can find joy with the hardship. Look carefully at God's word in your pain. How about your reaction when you encounter difficult circumstances? And I hope you will say like Paul, therefore I am content with the weaknesses, insult, and hardship, persecutions, for the sake of Christ. For whenever I am weak, then I am strong, because God is